Alright guys, a lot to cover in this video, so let's get started. So we just need to fix a couple things on the aesthetics side here when we go to the new post view. Okay, we're going to remove the spacing in the overall V stack. These are just little things that you're going to appreciate later. So I want to go up here, do that spacing of 0. Okay, I want to add a background color to the overall H stack, or the overall H stack where the ingredient and the steps are. So I'm going to minimize a few of these things here. Right, there we go. So sorry about that. Right here, this H stack, I'm going to give it, actually I need to go here, I'll give it a background color. I'm going to give it a really light background color, almost like 0.995 is fine. Okay. Alright, that's good. And then for some contrast, I'm going to make sure that the Z stack, that right here, I'm going to give this one, just going to be 1, so it'll be straight white. Okay, that's the background color for the camera default image or the placeholder. Okay, now let's go ahead and start getting into the nitty-gritty of how we're going to upload to Firestore. So how we're going to upload our recipes. So we're going to go into helper funcs. Okay, we need to import Firebase. Okay, and then I'm going to create a new function here. Okay, I'm going to fold up some of this code so it's not in my way. Alright. And what I'm going to put inside here is the following function. I wrote all of it out in advance. We'll just walk through it, okay? So copy it, paste it. Let's talk about it. So I named it Firestore Submit Recipe, okay? And actually, to be honest with you, instead of writing Submit Recipe, I'm going to just make it Firestore Submit Data, okay? And then it needs to be given a document reference string, the data that you want to save, and I put a completion handler in case we want to do something later, okay? So the reason I did that is because what I would like to do is whenever I execute it, maybe I'm going to want to do something with an error, maybe I'll do something with the success. For now, when we actually execute it in this tutorial, we're not going to be doing anything with it, so I just kind of put in the error area, but we can modify that later if we want. So I'll save it. Make sure yours looks exactly like this. So we're saying let document reference equal a Firestore document with following that string, and then we're going to set data equal to the data to save. And if we get an error, we get an error, and if we don't, we'll say recipe. Actually, we'll just say data uploaded successfully. Okay. I'm going to add one more parameter here that you can change if you want. So I'm going to make it say show details. And I put that so I don't have to see it every time. Actually, I'm not gonna do that. So I can see it. Say show details, and then it'll be a boolean, and then it'll say equals false. So I'm gonna give it a default value of false. But in case you want more details, what we'll do is we'll say, let's say error. Actually, right here we'll just say data uploaded is going to be, and we'll just say data to save, okay? And we'll say if show details, then we'll print that out, okay? Just so we have an option to see more information if we want it, but we don't have to see it by default. Save it, okay? That's that. Now we need to do some modifications to some of our classes and structures. So we're gonna do the structs, enums, and classes, okay? Go up to recipe post. Small thing I want to do here is I want to change this to a capital R, okay? And the reason, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go over to home view where we had been using it. And this needs to be a capital R now. So recipe post with capital R, go to all of them and do that, okay? Once you've done that, we'll go back here to the structs, enums, and classes. And I need to add this part right here, okay? This is what's new. So I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to paste it in here. And so what it says is we're going to create one new variable called dictionary. And when you execute dictionary, what it's going to do is it's going to give you the UUI, it's going to return an array of string any, because that's the format we need when we upload to Google Firestore. It needs to be in the form, the data needs to be string any. And we're going to be uploading recipes, so we need a nice easy way to get that recipe in the form of an array or a dictionary of string to any. And so we'll return a dictionary that has the ID with the ID in the form of a string, the UUID in the form of a string, We'll have steps, and it'll return steps. This will be changed, though, okay? I'm going to put some random junctures to that. It gives us an error, so we need to make sure we don't forget to change it, okay? Same thing with ingredients. We need to make a slight modification, which you'll see as we keep going. And then posting user, we need to give the posting user in the form of string. I want everything to be in the rawest forms, like strings, ints, doubles, etc., or even like a JPEG data for the image when we start using the storage buckets. So posting user, descriptions are all strings, number of likes is an int, so all that is valid, okay? So the reason I put these here is because we can't technically upload step items. We need them to be in the form of string any. So we're going to be using what are called maps, which is almost like a JSON style method of storage. So it's inside of our string any dictionary, we'll have another string any dictionary, okay? So to do that, what we need to do is we need to go down to, so we'll get rid of that, okay? And we need to go down to where we had ingredients and steps defined, okay? And what we need to do, we actually need to move backwards even another level, and we need to go to, let's go to helper funcs, okay? And we need to create an extension, okay? And this extension is going to be an extension of array, okay, where the element, is equal to step, okay? And what we're going to put in there is we're going to say, I'm going to cut that and talk about what it says. We're going to create a new function called format for Firebase, and what it's going to return, it's going to return a string, and it's going to return an array of dictionaries. Okay, so what it's going to do, it's going to convert every one of these ingredients. I guess maybe it would be better to start here. So let's take this right here, ingredient. Okay, and let's add this piece right here, this var dictionary. Same thing we had above, okay? Same principle. It's just these now match all of these, okay? So var dictionary, and then it's going to have ID for ID, name for name, amount for amount, amount unit, and it's going to be the raw value. We want the string form, right? Because we want these right here, okay? We don't want this left stuff. We don't want the cases. We want the raw values. And order number will be order number, okay? So now that we did that, let's do the same thing lastly for the step. Okay, so same principle, okay. And once we do that, now let's go continue on where we were making that extension. So under helper funcs, where we were working on this extension, what it's saying is we need to return an array of dictionaries, okay. And so we're going to start by creating a return value that is completely empty, and for each element inside of the original array of steps, we're going to essentially replace, we're essentially turning this from an array of steps in the step form to an array of steps in the dictionary form, okay? So let's just build that. That should work. Let's clean that. There we go. So now this dictionary, that dictionary itself is referring to, if we go here, it's referring to this dictionary, okay? And so we're just going to take this whole thing, copy it, paste it, and this one's going to say, we're going to make the same thing, say ingredient. Okay. So now we can turn the structures into a string, any dictionary, an array of string any dictionaries. Okay. We'll save it, and then that takes care of all of these to-dos. Okay. We'll save it, and now we'll go over to the new post page. New post view. We need to add one more thing. If right now, technically, I've been kind of worked on the side, so I might have it, but you won't. We don't have the submit recipe button, so we still need that, okay? So let's go ahead and let's add two things, actually. We need to add a submit recipe button. Close that up. Actually, we need to open that up. We will minimize the ZStack. Where is it? Yeah, this ZStack needs to be minimized. We need to, between the H stack where we had this stuff and the spacer that's 65 tall right here, we need to create a button, okay? And so that button, let's just create together, and then so let button, we'll use the, I like to use the drag and drops to be honest with you. So I'm not going to change the action of it yet, but rather than sit there and trying to figure out the best aesthetics over and over, here's what we're going to do. The text is going to say submit recipe. We're going to use a headline font, foreground color of white, padding a 20, frame of height 48. Background, we use the dark blue that we defined earlier. If you change any color you want. Corner radius of 24. 24 is because it's the exact half of the frame height. So that's how you get, if you half it, you get the perfect round right there. And a padding of 10. So the padding of the 10 is on the outside. That's what gives us this height. Because if the padding is on the inside, it actually, it's colored. That's why order matters for these items here, okay? So I'll save that. And when you click on that button now, what I want to do is I'm going to say let this recipe post equal, and we're going to create a new instance of recipe post, okay? And let's look at the initializers right here. And yeah, so let's go type each of these one by one. So actually, we forgot a really crucial step here. Before we forget, let's go back to structs, enums, and classes. We never fixed this, okay? So what we needed to do is we needed this right here, this dictionary, to instead of just being putting steps in here, it should have been steps. Get rid of that. There we go. We should have had steps dot format for Firebase, because now it's properly formatted. Instead of being an array of steps, it's an array of dictionaries that represent the steps for both of those. Okay, now we can continue forward, and we'll say the steps is going to be equal to the steps dictionary, okay, that we had up here. Okay, so we're setting up the recipe that's going to actually be submitted to the database. So this will be self.ingredients. Okay. This one, we're going to go into login view to grab a piece of code we used earlier. This right here, environment object, env. I'm going to copy that and bring it into new post view. So what I can do now is I can actually come here and say env.current user dot established ID. And that little piece right there, if you remember, actually came from our user class right here, where we had established ID. Okay, that is green, so it worked. It liked it. Description for now, we'll put nothing. Okay, and number of likes, I'm going to put a default value. If you're first creating this post, it must have a number of likes equal to 0. And lastly, the image. Right now, let's put the following. We're going to put a ternary operator here, okay? So I really like to be able to see things like this. Okay. That ternary operator is going to be, we'll say image not equal to nil. So what we're saying is we're saying if we truly have an image here, okay, then we'll say if image is not equal to nil. Actually, we really should actually be doing this kind of validation somewhere else, even at level higher, because you shouldn't be able to post a recipe without a picture. So within this action, before we can even get this far, what I really want to do actually, let's say, is if let image equal image. Let's say if let this image equal self.image. So we're saying we're creating a new variable called if this image is, and then we're essentially unwrapping that image that was up top. Okay, so if that is valid, then we can carry on forward. Okay, I'm just re-indenting everything. That's so we can see things a little bit better. So we're saying if we can successfully unwrap it, then we can carry on forward. Okay, and we will submit this image. All right, and that should be that. I'm going to put one else here. I'm going to say else SP alert. We definitely have used SP alert in here already, so I'm going to find it. I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to say, please add a photo. Well, here, let's get rid of this. The title alone, we'll just say, please, or add a photo. Just add a photo. You cannot submit a recipe without a photo. Okay, save it. Let's build it. Or clean it at least so we can take a peek out what's wrong. Run it. Let's see what happens. It's trying to run right now. As that tries to build, the next thing we had to do inside here was I wanted just to be able to print that dictionary that corresponds to this. So if we can even get this far, we'll say print this recipe post dot dictionary. Okay, so we're trying to essentially print out the string to any dictionary that contains all the information of this post that we're going to be uploading to Firestore. And we're doing that just so we can make sure everything looks right down here. Okay, so once that gets moving, we'll keep on going. Okay, now that it finally finished building, it just didn't like the fact that we had a UI image here. This wanted an image, okay? So let's just say UI image. Okay, save it, run it. Doesn't have to run through all these tasks again. It should work just fine. Last one, self. Little things like that, they can get a little annoying. But that should work out, and now we have this line here, this print this recipe post.dictionary, so we can actually probably get a good look at what we're submitting to the database. All right, here we go. So we'll create something new here, and let's just start doing this. Submit recipe. Already from the get-go, knows we don't have a photo. Okay, so I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna say add an ingredient. I'm going to add 1 potato, okay? And then I'm going to say add eggs, okay? I'm still going to try to submit the recipe. Same thing. Doesn't like the fact that I don't have an image. Okay. So photo library. And now I'm going to put a picture of pasta, right? And we will submit this recipe. And sure enough, it actually liked everything in here. So you didn't get an error, so let's take a look inside here. And it's saying that it was going to try to upload a new post with a unique ID of this. It was going to have the following steps. Just add eggs. Okay, it was going to have the following ingredient. 1.0 cup of potato. And it had my unique ID that it was going to upload it with. The description was nothing, and the number of likes was 0. Just to make sure everything looks really good for us, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to add one more thing here. I'm going to make it say, I'm going to add like 2 more ingredients or something, like 4 tablespoons of nutmeg. Okay. And then I'm going to put 3 whole eggs. Steps, we'll say boil pasta. Okay. Submit recipe, and sure enough, this still looks really good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the next and the final part of this function that'll let us submit to Firestore. So if I go over to let's go over to helper funcs, where we built this function earlier, Firestore submit data. Okay, and we will say Firestore submit data. All right, and we will stick with this one. Doc ref string, it's going to be recipe, okay, and then / and then that. And let's just look at login view really quick to make sure. I always get confused between / and backslashes and when to use them. So, all right, or the sign up, sorry, is where I wanted to go. right here. So we need forward slash followed by forward slash is what we need. So we were right here, new post view, and so we'll put like that, and we'll say it'll be this recipe post. It's not auto-completing too well, so we'll say dot ID. The data to save will be this recipe post dot dictionary, and for the completion we'll just put just like that, aka we don't want to do anything at all. Okay, we'll save it and we'll run it, and let's see what happens. I mean, at this point this should actually be successful, so let's see what happens. All right, let's add some ingredients. Let's put 5 eggs. Oh, sorry, it should just be, well, actually, watch this. So if we hit 5 eggs, let's say please add an ingredient. Actually, what it doesn't like is that we have this blank. So let's put eggs. Don't forget that we did all this field validation. So saying please enter a real number. So we need to put 5. We can only put 5. So let's put 5 whole eggs. Let's put 3 pounds of chicken. Okay, and we'll say boil eggs. Say crack egg, that, whatever. And then submit recipe. Oh, we still need a photo, can't forget that. Photo library. Okay, and we'll go right here, we'll pick that. Anything works. So submit recipe. Data uploaded successfully. So now I should actually be able to go to Firestore. Let's go look at Firestore. So Firestore. Sorry, let's go to console. We just need to go to console.firebase.google. Let's check out recipe. Okay. Let's check out the database. Okay. And let's check out recipe. So here we go. We have our first recipe, and the recipe has a description of nothing, idea of naming. This is perfect. So we have ingredients, and it lists out the ingredients for us too, perfectly. Number of likes, the posting user, the steps. I mean, this is flawless. So yeah. So now we just posted our first recipe, and from here we will actually be allowing us to upload pictures. That'll be next up. And yeah, so I hope you guys like this video. Please let me know if you wanted to see anything different, and if you have any suggestions, and I'll see you in the